That is in brief what I've done. Thank you very much.
We have Mr. GOKE ADENIYI. So if you have a question, please straight to your question. Honorable Ishao.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. GOKE ADENIYI, sorry. Yes, GOKE ADENIYI. I've quickly looked through your CV. It's very brief. It looks more like...
Just like his presentation.
Yeah, it looks more like... what's that thing we read when you go for award? Citation. 1, 2, 3, 4 paragraphs, and it's on one sheet. I beg to, Mr. Speaker, with your permission, I beg to agree that there's a CV in our presence, sir. Because even though documents are attached to it, the CV indicating what you've done over time is definitely not here. Also, a critical element of being qualified for this board appointment is Section 3(4) of a law states that the appointment of a chairman and 4 members of the board, Mr. Speaker, with your permission, if I may read, members of the board will be from the 5 divisions of the state. There is nothing here indicating the division with which you represent. So I don't know if Mr. Speaker will permit you to state that for this House to see. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. ADENIYI, good afternoon. I went through your resume as well, and I discovered that you are more of a geophysician, and that basically has to do with exploration. And you know what IBILE and all is all about. It's maybe initially supposed to be a combination of downstream and upstream. So, and secondly, you talk about entertainment. I don't see any correlation between entertainment and oil exploration and downstream activities. But I haven't talked about finance management and the likes. What will you bring to bear for the business model of IBILE oil and gas in Lagos State? I haven't appreciated the fact that today Lagos State has paucity of fund, and it will not be within us to fund that company. Is supposed to be a corporation that is supposed to be self-sustaining. So what model or what will be the attraction that will bring the required investment into downstream, be it downstream or upstream? Thank you.
Honorable Victor Akonde.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. GOKE ADENIYI, you are just being smart. You are very, very smart. Mr. Speaker, there is nothing to actually look at in terms of knowing him particularly. So there is a little bit lacuna in this. And so many lacuna. We cannot pinpoint, we can't know where you are from. No, the thing is empty, but you are very smart. Thank you.
Honorable Councilman.
Thank you, sir. On this CV here presented to the House, all I can see is a contradiction on so many pages. I'll just pick out 2 pages. On the last page, you have your LSHA, and it states that your LG LCDA is a TIOSA. On the second page, you have a statutory declaration of age that was prepared from Abuja, signed in Abuja, address in Abuja. So there's really nothing that connects you deeply with Lagos, and indeed IBILE. So I just wanted to make those references. Thank you.
Honorable Said, lastly. Yeah, can you respond to the questions?
Honorable Speaker and honorable members of the House of Assembly, thank you very much. Mr. Speaker spoke very eloquently about the CV presented generally by the nominees. Like every other nominee, I found out about this on Thursday. So the brief CV that is with all the honorable members is not as detailed as it should be, and my apologies for that. In terms of the oil and gas experience, with all due respect, sir, behind the scene, I have been working a lot for Lagos State, especially regarding the formation of the oil and gas for the state. As a matter of fact, when this was inaugurated, my organization consulted to start it under Honorable Tijani, who was the first commissioner of energy. The honorable member also referred very seriously to my qualification. I'm a geoscientist. And as a geoscientist, basically I've practiced all my life in the oil and gas industry. And I've practiced in most of the oil regions in different capacity. And my knowledge is not restricted to exploration. Not at all. As a matter of fact, my organization today have and is consulting for almost all the major oil and gas companies in different capacity. We also give experts advice and expatriate community to them. So in terms of the kind of thing I would like to see happen in Lagos State, which is a very valid question, which I think is the reason why I'm part of this, why I'm nominated. Lagos State, as it is today, is not an oil producing state. However, there are a bit of controversy around that. ATI-JOHN is in Lagos State, and there is a big basin called the Dahomey Basin, which is also in Lagos State. My organization have the largest data covering, it's called the mega survey, actually covering this Dahomey Basin, which has the ability of making Lagos State one of the oil producing states. Outside that, what do I see Lagos State doing in terms of oil and gas? Lagos State, because of the ports, would be better in the midstream to downstream environment. That's ongoing. The Dangote refinery is going on. In addition, I'm also aware that Lagos State is working very closely to see that the gas utilization ability is also energized. So we are also behind the scene trying to make that happen as well. So I think this is an attempt to bring that into Lagos State and to add that value. So I hope I've answered that particular question. Regarding the contradiction, you will notice that the document referred to was actually in Abuja, was in 2004, I think, if I'm correct. So it's not a new document. So when I was asked for my age certificate, birth certificate, That's the closest I can find. So I included it, and that's part of the document for an embassy when I was in Abuja. And of course, the court in Nigeria is not just restricted to Abuja. So I have always lived in Lagos. My house is in Lekki. I have been in Lagos for the last 40 years of my life. My practice is in Lagos. I've been a taxpayer in this state for as long as I've worked. Thank you very much.
Thank you. You may go and sit your seat. I call on Ms. OMOLARA ABIKE CUDJOE-ALAKIJA.
Good afternoon, Right Honorable Speaker, sir. Good afternoon, honorable members of the House.
Good afternoon. You are welcome to Lagos House of Assembly.
Thank
Can
you,
you
sir.
please tell the whole House about yourself?
My name is OMOLARA ABIKE-ALAKIJA, born on the 29th of December, 1962 in Lagos. At my school, I'm single with 2 children, adults, 1 is married. I attended Sunnyfield Primary School, Adelabo in Surulere. Girls Secondary Grammar School, Bariga for my secondary school. And then I proceeded to England for my A-levels. I attended Cranbonch's School in the UK. From there, I proceeded to the University of Buckingham. I obtained my first degree in politics, economics, and law. As a young child, I was particularly interested in politics. After my first degree, I stayed back in the university and obtained my full law degree. From there to the Nigerian Law School, and then I started work. I worked in legal firm in Broad Street, Western House, CUDJOE-ALAKIJA and Co. And from them, the banking industry started. My first degree in economics took me to Equatorial Trust Bank. From there to Financial Merchant Bank. From there to Eco International Bank, and then Equatorial Trust Bank. In all those places, I worked in Treasury, Naira Money Market. That means on a daily basis, we buy and sell funds, deposits, and the money market. And from then on, I started my own business. After Equatorial Trust Bank, I started my own business. It was time to move along because I had 2 children to look after. I opened my law practice, OMOLARA ABIKE CUDJOE-ALAKIJA and Co. I also opened a trading business because I like to trade as an entrepreneur. And I got involved in construction, renovation, turnkey projects on small scales, not on huge scales. At some point in life, politics came calling because I was always interested in that anyway. And I got involved with minority parties, worked my way from the grassroots up. When it was time for the merger, I showed up, and I showed up with all intention to be inclusive in the governance of Nigeria and my people. I still work for myself, whilst I do strategy for my party, behind the scenes and when necessary. Thank you.
Before you is Ms. OMOLARA ABIKE. If you have questions, Honorable Jude, straight to your question, please.
Thank you, my speaker. Ma, while you are introducing yourself, you mentioned that you are a single parent Thank you for being bold to tell us that. But I want to, if you don't mind, you tell us what brought about that. Why do you choose to be a single parent? Thank you.
And what solution do you have to that? If you are interested, why don't you just go after the screen? Ignore the questions. Honorable Ishao.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Good afternoon, colleagues, once again. Good afternoon, ma. I see that you said you studied politics, economics, and law. You have told us how you served in the bank. You have told us that you are a politician since 2014. You have joined our great party. You have also told us how you have practiced your law. By the law, Mr. Speaker, if you allow me, by Section 3(5) of the law establishing this corporation, it says all members of the board will be persons of proven integrity with at least 10 years of cognate experience in their chosen field. I can see you've qualified for that. I would like you to tell us, this is your variegated experience, how you will bring it to bear on the corporation if this house eventually clears you. Thank you.
Honorable Lobo, straight to your question.
Yeah,
please.
thank you, sir. The first observation has to do with what Honorable Ishao said. I look at Mr. Adegoke Bumi, last record. It shows Etiosa East. And I'm now looking at Mrs. Omolara Alakija's last record. It shows Etiosa West. That means it's not in compliance with the provision of the law.
Okay.
Mr. Speaker, having said that, Mr. Alakija, I appreciate you. You are a lawyer, a seasoned lawyer. But you know that when we are talking about IBILE gas and all, it is a specialized, highly technical business. What will you be able to bring to it that make it the difference? Because in the downstream sector, I have not seen where you have, all you did is just supply.
She works in a bank.
And the bank. Maybe.
So they don't do money in oil and gas?
Oil and gas. No, but maybe from the point of, from a finance point of view, how will you be able to attract more investment into that sector? Thank you.
Honorable Akonde.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Madam, I want to say that you didn't accompany any credentials to this, especially as a lawyer. I just want to know why. That's all.
Honorable Counsel, straight to the question.
Very much, sir. I just want to understand what the essence of the last page of this particular document is in this submission that you have made to us, because it doesn't really say anything.
Thank you.
Please let us know.
Honorable Jimmy Mohammed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mine is just more of a recommendation, sir. I've known her for a few years in corporate practice. She's a seasoned lawyer, over 35 years of experience. She's a banker, and she's worked in my transactions before today that I have
She
met
says
her.
so.
My apologies, sir. Thank you for...
No problem, go ahead.
I'm done, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, can you answer the questions, ma'am?
Thank you. I'll start with the first question. Honorable Jude.
You don't have to be doing. Yeah.
I'm comfortable.
Okay. Well,
Not everybody will get married. But I'm very happy I have 2 children. It simply didn't work with their father. He took a work, I took a work. I took my 2 children, I trained them in England. I have 2 accountants. One is chartered, works in ARM. The second one works with Google. She's married. And now I have a son. So I should say I have 3 kids. And I'm happy to be who I am. Thank you very much. Honorable Ishao IBILE, what would I bring to the table? When we write CVs, we have to make it short and brief. When I got to 3 pages, I didn't think I should go on. What would I bring to IBILE? Even as I am, without being as a nominee that has not even been confirmed, I've already had discussions from when the new administration came in, and as we speak, IBILE already has started what we call low-hanging fruits. Very soon, I expect that you'll see IBILE oil everywhere in Lagos, more IBILE petrol stations. The gas in your home will be IBILE. When you turn to the left, every petrol station in 5 divisions will be IBILE. The engine oil on every single car in Lagos, without putting pressure on MURTW, which I can if I want to, will be IBILE. We will take over the garages. We will take over Lagos. We will not put on pressure. I know what to do, and I will do it. Yes, your lubricants, your gas, your engine oil, every mechanic, every bus, everything in Lagos should be IBILE. It will not need an executive order. It is connection, word of mouth. The civil service has the strength. The political arm has the strength. We have the citizens. The oil will be merit. It will be well priced. It will be quality. So you will have no need. IBILE will become Coca-Cola in Lagos. It will become the Coca-Cola in lubrication, in gas. So that is what we will do on the board. And it won't be only me. It will be everybody, including the MD. Now, those are the low-hanging fruits. Those are things we can do immediately. Because whether you like it or not, we can't continue to take money from you. It's a business. And I'm an entrepreneur right from my grandmother's feet. Entrepreneurs make money. Entrepreneurs market products. Entrepreneurs make sure products are sold. And when they're sold, money comes in. So we'll look for ways of marketing, and that's things we can do. We already have the customers in the population of Lagos. Now we go to the next one, which would be upstream. What we need are marginal fields. We don't need to go deep into the sea. In marginal fields, we will not really be looking at Lagos to support us. There are fields already. We would partner with those who have marginal fields. The whole of the West, Badagry, is oil. Oil, very close to you, very close to us. There's oil everywhere in Badagry as we speak. It's just a question of locating who we're going to work with and how we're going to get it done. Finance comes. Even Nigeria is in partnership with Shell and other companies. We're not using all of Nigerians' money to drill and explore. We would partner. People would rush us. When they know we're ready, finance would come. I don't think we need to look deep or far for money. And when we drill marginal fields in the West, the deep sea port is waiting for us in the East, close to Ekpe. And then from there we'll proceed to export in the Central, because the ports and everything that will take it off the shores are in the Central. I see the future. I see money. Niger Delta, Lagos is here to compete with you. That's what I see. Thank you.
You may go and take your seat. I love this, your inspiration and desire to take Lagos to that level. So we will all witness it. Thank you. Yeah, from there we move on to Judicial Service Commission. May I invite Mr. ATI-JOHN to step forward. Good afternoon, Mr. Dapo ATI-JOHN. We received a letter from Mr. Governor introducing you to us as his nominee. So, Lagos State Judicial Service Commission, can you introduce yourself to the House?
Good afternoon, Right Honorable Speaker.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, distinguished honorable members. My name is Olusola ATI-JOHN. I was born on the 4th of June 1965 in Island Maternity Hospital, Lagos. I attended St. Mary's Private School on Broad Street for my primary education, and I proceeded to Methodist Boys High School on Broad Street for my secondary education. Thereafter, I left for the Kwara State College of Technology in Ilorin. From there, I proceeded to the Lagos State University. I graduated in 1990, then proceeded to the law school. I graduated from the law school in 1991 and went for my youth service in Kogi State. Then came back to Lagos. I worked for JTA Susan & Co. for a year, then moved on to GDOK & Co., then went back to JTA Susan & Co. Then in 1998, I started my own law firm called ATI-JOHN & Co. I am married. I have 3 children. Hello? Okay. I am been in the practice of law. I manage the law firm. I've been in management of the law firm since 1998. I am a certified mediator. I'm on the panel of neutrals with the Lagos Multi-Dollar Court. I am also, I do a lot of pro bono cases for the OPD, that's Office of the Public Defender, and the legal aid. I'm also, I was secretary of one of the sections in the Nigerian Bar Association, that's section of Public Interest and Development Law, from 2011 to 2015. I was also a co-opted member of the Nigerian Bar Association, the NEC, between 2010 and 2012 and 2016 and 2018. Right there. And I think that's all about myself.
Right.
And I'm a fellow of BRIPAN as well. BRIPAN is the Insolvency Practitioners Association of Nigeria. I was in the council for 8 years. And also a council member in the Polish Nigerian Chamber of Commerce. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Before us is Mr. Dominic Olashopo Atonda. So if you have questions, go straight to you. And if you look at the CV, Kwara State College of Technology, I think the Deputy Speaker has something to do with the Kwara. Why is schooling too? Yeah?
I don't understand, except that I went to secondary school.
Okay, in Kwara.
Kwara State, yes.
Okay, same Kwara.
Offer.
And he also went to LASU. I read law. I think the speaker also went to LASU too. Hello. It's not to do what? It's a doctor now. Oh, the speaker is not a doctor. Huh? No lacuna. Okay, you may take your seat, Mr. ATI-JOHN. Yeah, Mrs. Bamidele Akinyemi. Good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon, Honorable Speaker. Good afternoon, sir. Distinguished members of the House, good afternoon. Thank you very much for this opportunity. I am Mrs. Bamidele Akinyemi F. I was born in 1955 in Ogun State. I've run into the same error of my predecessors today, so I apologize for the omission of the primary and secondary education in my CV. In my CV, I am from Oshodi Solo, constituency 1, Ward 1. My husband is a party member, and I actually retired from Lagos State Public Service in year 2015. After my degree in education from the UK, certificate offered by Council of Academic Awards from University of East London, then North East London Polytechnic. I served in St. Joseph Teachers College at Dosoba, Lagos State, after which I joined Teachers Establishment and Pension Office in 1985, and I worked in various schools before I had my Master's in Adult Education from the University of Lagos, which moved me forward to join Lagos State Public Service Staff Development Center in 1997. I started as the HOD of Management Development, and I put a lot of programs together. Indeed, I was a pioneer staff. We started the place together. I was secretary to 3 committees on evolution of training programs, namely for health sector in the state, for lawyers in the state, and for public relation officers in the state. And that actually gave me a leverage to press on and continue in my capacity building career. I became the group head in 1999 and eventually the director of consultancy and management development in the center. I work hard with my team to move the consultancy directorate forward, and indeed we became a source of internally generated revenue for the center. We were winning bidded assignments from the Federal Bureau for Public Enterprise, and we coordinated pre-retirement programs for federal staff of Nigeria, North Central. Other major assignments included my coordinating of the Lagos Eco Project, the capacity building arm or component of it all over the state. We trained over 5,000 school managers and assistant school managers then. Since I retired, I've continued in capacity building, and I've been a consultant to Lagos State University Teaching Hospital, Lagos State College of Nursing and Midwifery, and right now I still do a lot of facilitation, putting programs together. I just believe that with other members of the commission, if we get the favor of this esteemed house and we are eventually confirmed, I work as a team. I'm a team worker. We work together. They are more technical, and I'm willing to fashion in the capacity components of any reform, any idea, and any initiative, because behind any reform, you have to have capacity building at the heart of it in order for it to succeed. We have gone through the functions of the commission. We will be, supporting and ensuring that the welfare, condition of service, we review regularly the light of the public service rules and regulation. And where necessary, we will be using innovative ideas, even to improve on existing system and policies. Thank you very much.
Honorable members, Mrs. Bamidele Akiyemi before you. If you have a question, please go straight to your question. Honorable Jude, I hope it's not going to be about marriage again.
Thank you, my speaker, my distinguished colleagues. Sir, from the CV I've gone through, I observed that there is no lacuna, sir, on the nominee, and I want to appeal to you, my leader, to give her a soft landing. Besides, she's from my constituency. God bless you, sir.
Any other question? So if there is none, madam, we can go and take a seat. Mr. Saide Karim, can you please step forward? Good afternoon. Can you please introduce yourself?
Good afternoon, the Right Honorable Speaker, honorable members of the House, good afternoon. I am Abdulateef Olaseinde Karim. I am a Lagosian. I was born in Lagos Island in 1958, 27th February, and I attended a primary school in Surulere Obeleodun Municipal School. From there, I went to Ansarudin College in Solo, 71 to 75. 75 to 77, I was at Lagos Baptist Academy for A-level, and thereafter, I was at Unilag from 1977 to 1981 for the law degree, after which I was at the law school, 81 to 82. Thereafter, I served in Kaduna State with the Nigerian First Division of the Nigerian Army, and then I came back to Lagos in 1983, where I joined Femi Okuno as a pupil counsel. I was there for 6 years. And after which, in 1989, I teamed up with two of my friends to start a law firm, Karim, Thompson, and Ishola. And in 1992, I think I set up my own practice in 94. And I was there till I think 2015, when I was invited to Femi Okuno by the principal partner to manage the farm. That was in 2005, to manage the farm, and I was there for 15 years as managing counsel partner, and I left in 2020 June to set up my own practice. Thank you.
Our distinguished colleagues, we have Mr. Saide Karim before us. If you have questions, please go straight to the questions. Well, if there's no questions, you may go back and take your seats. Well, on this note, let me thank all the nominees for, oh, Mahmoud, sorry, we left you about. Okay, introduce yourself.
Distinguished Speaker of Lagos State House of Assembly, honorable members, my fellow nominees, I say good afternoon to each and every one of us. Thank you. Mahmoud Dawodu is my name. Paternal, I'm from Lagos Island, from the Dawodu family. Maternal, I'm from Jinodu family, Lediju family. And for my primary education, I studied at Ansarudin Primary School, from where I moved to Ansarudin Grammar School, Randall Avenue, and after which I moved to Yaba College of Tech for both OND and HND in accountancy and finance. For my youth service, I was in Imo State, Department of Immigration. And after my 1 year, I got retained. I stayed additional 1 year in 1991 to 1993 to cover the 2 years, after which I moved to Lagos State and joined the Lagos State Post-Primary School Education, PP TESCOM, in which I spent another 1 year. I joined Eco International Bank in 1994, and I spent 5 years. Fortunate for me, I was in corporate banking and treasury in between, from where I moved to DEFCON Merchant Bank, joined the treasury department, after which I moved to Société Bancaire, merchant banker, a French bank, and I was in treasury, I was head of treasury, from where I moved to Platinum Bank as a group head, public sector. After Platinum Bank, I was in Indo-Nigeria Merchant Bank as the head of treasury, and myself and a couple of friends set up a mortgage bank called Infinity Homes, and I was the deputy MD of the mortgage bank in Abuja. Well, there were issues left, right, and center. I moved back to Lagos and joined Pacific Bank as head of strategy and business development, and this was what moved us into the family of Unity Bank. I was the secretary to the Treasury work stream during the consolidation period. After Unity Bank, I moved out to, I set up Bishopgate Microfinance Bank. I bought a license and started Bishopgate running Microfinance Bank in Surulere. And I also moved. After a couple of years, 2-3 years with Bishopgate, I joined the services of Masters Energy, which is an oil company, and I was made the head of operations, under which I overlook about 50 filling stations across Nigeria. And I moved out of Masters Energy to set up my own again, Olsen Energy, with 2 other friends. And that is what we do. On the other side, I run another consulting firm, which is not on my CV there, called, sorry, I got confused now. It's okay. I oversee a consulting firm on the side, apart from Olsen Energy. But critically, that is the beginning of my move from education to career focuses. Thank you.
Honorable Shao.
Pardon?
Not you.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Mahmoud Daudu. You've spoken well, I must say. But the challenge I have, I know Mr. Speaker has addressed this issue, is that your certificates are not here. Look at Yabatech, both OND and HND. You graduated for some time, and yet you don't have your certificate here. It's a bit, it's 1, 2, 3, 4 sheets. It's not time, but it's how you perceive this house. I believe His Excellency, to have forwarded your name, needs people that are hungry to serve their state. But if we, and I saw another CV of, I think it's this oil and gas, isn't it? Which one is yours?
Commission.
Pardon me?
Judicial Commission.
Judicial Commission, yes. Judicial Commission. You know what really bothers me? You are going into a commission, and you are going to recruit people for the state. And in your own interview, we have this. I just need to put this on record. I'm happy Mr. Speaker has spoken about it. You understand? But it is something that needs to be taken care of. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Council.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would like to, at this point, also add that I noticed that in your CV, your LSHA is missing. It's not attached to this document. Please, if you haven't done so, please do so immediately. Thank you.
May I respond, please?
Honorable.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want to say this is the most poorly collated.
Somebody has just said something about.
Mr. Speaker, when you look critically at the statement of account, statement of results, the date, it is dated 14/09/1992. And when you look at the discharge certificate, NYSC discharge certificate, it bears the same 1992 September. So we don't know which one precedes the other one. But what I know is that when you go for youth service, you spend 1 year before you are issued a discharge certificate. So the coincidence of dates, when he actually graduated in Yabatech and when he served, I think is questionable. So you need to amplify and give more insight. Thank you.
Honorable.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, fellow members. Well, my very first observation is that this nominee standing before us is not even on the list sent to us by the governor. How did he get here?
He is. Honorable, he is. His name was announced when we started the plenary.
Oh, wow. Noted, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you.
And I rest my case, sir.
Thank you. You may go and take your seat.
Thank you very much.
I want to thank all the nominees for their appearance before the House. And in the same way, I thank all my colleagues for your patience and perseverance in listening to all of them. So at this point, I would like to discharge them. You may take your leave, and we'll get back to you when we resolve. Well, thank you for coming. Good afternoon. Yeah, Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I wish to move that Order 129 earlier activated be deactivated since the purpose for which it was activated had been accomplished.
Honorable Akonde.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I hereby support the motion as moved.
All in favor say aye. Those against nay, the ayes have it. Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, next on the other paper, next and final on the other paper is House of Assembly Bill number 22. I move, Mr. Speaker, that Lagos State Sports Commission Amendment Law 2021 be read for the second time. I so move.
Honorable Councilman.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to second the motion as moved.
All in favor say aye. Those against nay, the ayes have it. Mr. Clark.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Distinguished Honorable Member, it is a great privilege and honor for me to read for the second time a bill for a law to amend the Lagos State Sports Commission Law 2017 and to promote youth and sport development in Lagos State and for connected purposes. Thank you very much, sir.
Yeah, thank you. Who goes first? Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, distinguished colleagues. I would like to speak very briefly on this bill and generalize a lot of things that I have seen put in it. Well, we thank God for these amendments because many of them, sir, seek to address many issues within the Commission currently. I want to speak on some good points, which is the development of sports-related businesses. I think that's a very apt piece of text to put in the bill. If we look at it, sir, around the world, different countries, different institutions deal in the business of sports. In the Premier League alone, we know it's worth roughly £14 billion. Even the one we have in Africa here, in South Africa, that one is worth $300 million US. And I believe with our population levels in Lagos State, we'll be able to achieve something close to that marker in a very, very short time. If we even look at the combined net worth of our football players, we're going upwards of almost 200 million. These are the people who are Nigerians, who are active in sports all around the world. So it's a very viable bill that looks to not only bring income, if they address what is written in the bill well, it will generate income for the state as well. There's a small thing as well, sir. If we look at amendment to Section 5, which is shown on number 4, subsection 3. On the substantive bill, sir, it does not directly address the working hours of members of the board. But I think we should input something, sir, that states that they should be working on a full-time basis based on the level of activity they'll be undergoing with this new amendments, with the new amendments to this bill, sir. Where there's lots of talk about annual sports competitions, but we don't see anything regarding or relating to animal sports. So things like ram fighting, cock fighting. We have people who do all sorts of animal competitions during the holiday periods. That's not captured in here as well. Yes, and another thing. If we truly want to address the grassroots sports development, I believe we should also look at the people who are directly related to the grassroots, which would be you and I, sir. We people in this hallowed chamber, we deal with the grassroots on a regular basis. I believe if they are looking at Section 18, helping develop divisions and communities to grow sports in their locality without involving us, the House of Assembly, sir. I believe they are not really targeting the grassroots as we engage with them on a very, very regular basis. Aside from that, I think the bill is apt. It covers a lot of topics, a lot of subjects that will better improve the state of sports in Lagos State. Thank you, sir.
Honorable. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, this bill we address a lot of issues, especially issues that borders on the children in our environment that are open to a lot of vices today. It will have captured it, apart from the fact that it will promote public-private partnership, because sports is a big business that the state alone cannot fund it. Obviously, we have private individuals, financial people who are able to support and make sports something great in Lagos State. Mr. Speaker, when you look at Big Brother Nigeria today, it's a life-changing show. But what does it preach? Immorality. But if this bill is passed into law, and those children that competed are well-funded or rewarded, it can change their life. The bills talk about having facilities in all the divisions and local governments where the children would have been engaged when they were very small. And their mindset will be to things that are noble, not to vices, not to smoking Indians, not to abuse drugs. I think the issue that bothered of NSAS, if you have had such a bill like this, maybe we wouldn't have had such problem. It's a bill that in all ramifications promotes sporting activities among our children. Catch them young, train them, let them be great people in Nigeria. Mr. Speaker, we want my colleague to support this bill and to commit it to the necessary committee for quick passage. Thank you, sir.
Honorable Shao.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, once again. The beauty of sports is that it's basically for the youths. Sport is not really for the elderly. So by addressing sports, we are addressing the youths. Unemployment, social vices, physical development, mental development. That is what sports is about. So this amendment of this bill, amendment of the law being proposed in this bill is apt, is on point, and is timely. There are a few things there that I see that will actually enhance the bill, the law as it was. There's introduction of the talent context scheme, which on for sports talent in our children between the age of 12 and 18. This is the catch them young syndrome that everybody is talking about. There's another section for special area games, which is to develop and nurture our traditional games. Somebody was mentioning cockfight. I don't know whether animals should be used for, but all kinds of games that are indigenous to our environment, to Lagos, can be captured within there. Then the open recreational space, mandating that the commission can find any land in open spaces to ensure that sports is not restricted to stadium, or stadia, the case may be, but can be played. There's some form of recreational sport that will be done within the community. Most importantly, the introduction of prizes and trophies by the commission. Mr. Speaker, this is a very novel idea, and in short, you have hit it on the head. Because with this, you have turned sports into a business. You are making it it's not just a philanthropic thing anymore. What we have normally in sporting environment, somebody's being philanthropic, you sponsor sports games. But when you put prize, and it says there that international standard, so it means that you're doing a football game now, there's a prize winning of about 250 million naira for that game. The person that is going to sponsor that sport, or rather run that business, knows that if my team wins, every kobo I put into this team, I am going to get it back with a profit. This is going to open doors to investment in football, tennis, basketball, all kinds of sports, if you put the appropriate prize money there. So I also want to support this, and I urge my colleagues to support this bill so that it be committed to the appropriate House of, committee of the House. Thank you.
Honorable Tijani.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Honorable colleagues, good afternoon. This bill is a very good one, most especially the new created Section 3 of the bill that encourage the youth to engage in any kind of sport of their choice. And at the end of the day, they might likely enjoy the support from the government. Mr. Speaker, today within the street in Lagos State, we have a lot of our youth well talented, skillful, but they are scared of them due to lack of support from the government. If our government can support our youth in the area of sports, I'm very sure there is going to be a reduction from unemployment and crime. Thank you, sir.
Honorable Naim.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Distinguished colleagues, Mr. Speaker, sir, I want to say that this bill is a good bill. If this bill is passed into law, it will make Lagos State a tourism center, a sport tourism center, and also it will make Lagos State a sport hub in Africa. Mr. Speaker, the National Festival of Sports that was held in Abuja in 2018, Lagos State was ranked as the fourth. If this bill is passed into law, I know that Lagos State will be the first. Mr. Speaker, I want to say again, all I want to include in this bill is that I want there to be stadium in all our senatorial districts. Now, we have Teslim Balogun Stadium in Surulere. We have in Oniko Stadium. We have in Lagos Island, and we have in the most prosperous constituency in Lagos State, ATI-JOHN as well. Mr. Speaker, sir, we don't have in Ethiopia, sir. So I want to appeal, sir, that land. We should, yes, sir.
Donate land. If we donate land, they will put stadium.
Sir, during our town meeting, our people also armored for stadium in my constituency. What I want to say is this, sir, we should include it in our bill, that there should be stadium in all the local governments. If it cannot be in all the local government, at least in all senatorial districts. Like now, in senatorial East senatorial district, there's nothing like stadium here right now to speak. But in Central, we have 3, but we still want more in Central. Thank you very much, sir. In Ekpetu, they don't have. In Ikorodu, they don't have, sir.
They can team together
yes,
and donate land.
Thank you very much, sir.
Honorable Eshilokun.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to support this bill, a total and unalloyed support to this bill. While the chairman House Committee was speaking, he addressed to the fact that he wants the commission to be full-time. I think we must accede
to do it?
Be full-time.
Okay.
We must accede to this request. If we are going to saddle certain people with this enormous responsibility, it must be something that they could do and not find them part-time. So I'm supporting this. Also, there is a comment about animal fight. I guess if we must work with the chairman of House Committee on Agriculture or acting committee on agriculture, because animal fight somehow is banned in that bill. The report is yet to come. So maybe the legal department should work and find a way of managing this. I do not have any doubt that this bill, eventually is given the necessary being passed into law, will take Lagos back to its former glory, which formerly were number 1. Suddenly we became number 3, number 4. I think the slide should be halted, and so that we will be propelled back to our prominence. And the youth of Lagos should be gainfully engaged in this sport. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Tomu.
Thank you very much, sir. I rise to support the bill, knowing fully that the bill will develop the youth mentally, physically, and it will enhance revenue generation to the coffers of the state. And as such, sir, I want to tell you that we in Ekpe Division, we have land, enormous land, that if they are ready, we will give them so as to develop stadium. We have more than enough land in Ekpe, so we are ready. Anytime they are ready, we will give them land. Thank you very much, sir.
Make it official, write to the commission that you are giving out land to them for state.
We will do that immediately, sir. We will do that, sir.
So I
we
can assure you, in the next budget, we make sure we have provision.
We will do that immediately, sir. Thank you very much.
Honorable Akonde.
The bill. A kind of among the community.
But the one that is so germane is Section 19, which talks about giving out scholarship. We know when we were growing up in those days, when sport was the order of the day, there are some people or some indigent student that doesn't have money, but through sport, they were able to achieve their aim, their academic goal, because they were being sponsored even to the university level. Bringing this back is a welcome idea. And again, it will also form a synergy among our people to see to it to the extent that many people who doesn't want to engage in sports before will engage, and this will create more job for us. Thank you, sir.
Honorable Okolao.
I thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, and I also want to commend my colleague, Honorable Ajani, who has done a very good job in bringing this bill to the table. Mr. Speaker, I love the comprehensiveness of this bill. It's very comprehensive and all-encompassing. It gives a kind of lifeline for our youth towards economic prosperity. See, with this bill, our youth now have the opportunity to rechannel their energies towards sports, which is another veritable means of survival. In those days, while we were in the secondary school, we played Principal Cup, so many grassroots sports. Even while in school, you already have job waiting for you. So as a Principal Cup player, stores is waiting for you to grab, ACB, NEPA, and the rest of them, they are there. So it is apt, and it is something that we must all support. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Laiwala.
Once again, I thank Mr. Speaker. And I need to quickly point out, the lacuna that I noticed in this particular bill. It has to do with sports promotion, sir. And I believe sport promotion should not be left in the hands of the government alone. Nowhere in this bill that we have the issue of involving the individuals and corporate organizations in the development of sports. So we need to take care of that too. I stand to be corrected. Thank you, sir.
Honorable Said.
If this bill is, I believe that this bill will create employment, this bill will create sense of belonging, and this bill will make the nation one of the foremost states in terms of. I remember when I was growing up, I normally watched Lagos State Academy. Lagos State has a football team that young people look up to play in that very team. So if this kind of bill is enacted, I believe that it's going to create access for young people to really energize and display their ability to the best of their dexterity. And also, during November, the governor visited my constituency, that is Koshope constituency too. And the governor mentioned emphatically that he is ready to create a mini stadium for the people of Koshope constituency too. If these are all harnessed in all areas of Lagos State, I believe that the youth will be gainfully employed. We can start exporting knowledge, like the like of Falilat Ogunkoya, the like of Oshuale, Mary Oyale, so we can come back to the glory. It is not only when you are educated that you have a sense of belonging. It is not only when you have employment with government service that you have a sense of belonging. But I believe that all over the world, globally now, is the sportmen that are making more money. So if Lagos State has these kinds of bill, and we have done the people, I want to commend people that have worked tenaciously in making sure that on a timely basis, bill like this come up to create avenue for the youth. I think it's a welcome idea. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Kasum.
Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker, for giving me the opportunity to speak on this very needed amendments to this wonderful bill. This, the one thing that I'm happy about is the solution to sport is actually the decentralization, which a few people have actually mentioned. And another particular thing I'm happy about is the fact that sports, as it were, is usually perceived to be limited to just football and the usual, the athletics and what have you. But this time around with this amendment, it will over the state, all over the state. Another part I would like to lay emphasis on is the part that talks about the sports scholarship program, which is in section 19. In as much as I appreciate what has been couched here, I would also suggest that an inclusion, it should not just be limited to the state alone. It should be also expanded to be far-reaching so that it will get to international standards and international opportunities can come for the children, for the youth who need to have that scholarship to perhaps excel internationally outside the country as well. Thank you.
Honorable Sholaja.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Let me lay my pause, particularly to section 23, the scouting, promotion, and management of the sport talent in Lagos precisely. If you look at it from that section, I believe, let me start from the speaker. Mr. Speaker is a very brilliant footballer. And I believe it is not because of your schedule. You could have been one of the best of professional football today. But from point of view from the primary school or secondary school, we have what is called Principal Cup, we have what is called the Governor's Cup, in fact, Speaker's Cup and others. And where they discover a lot of talent, where they discover coaches and others, players that have made Lagos and Nigeria great. Today, Saka was discovered. It's my family, whether they like it or not. If you don't know, just go and Google. You see that guy that playing for Arsenal. It's my brother. And if you don't discover him or promoting him, you don't bring what is called Nigeria's name today. And apart from that, Mr. Speaker, you said it that we should look for the stadiums. The Lagos State have identified a stadium in Ikorodu. The place has been first, even is caught town at Igbobo and Ijede. And even the governor said it about 3 years ago when the Ambody was there, that part of they have identified a particular place in Lagos Poly that have marked for the sport. But as of today, nothing was done. Thank God that Mr. Speaker mentioned it. We have a stadium that have been identified, and we just want your bless so that they can go ahead and do it. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much.
I think this bill is very apt, and every section is very important. And I pray the executive arm will implement it to later. But one area I want to really bring out is the section 24, subsection 2, where they now tag the age between 12 years and 18 years. I think this should be brought back to like between 7 and 9 years. If you see our children of today, even a child of 7 years, you hardly believe that's the age, in terms of the nourished food they are taking. If you want to really take them young, I think 7 years to 9 years is better off when they are in primary school, so that we can now discover the area of their expertise. And then taking the open space across the state is very, very good. If you see our youth, they occupy every available space to train. So if government can come into this and acquire some spaces for people, for youth, for younger ones to be recreating themselves, and then to be very, very okay. Every section of this is very important. There's some area that says you to take a sport that is peculiar to area. Nowadays, we've forgotten that we are being surrounded by water. Swimming should be an area that Lagos State should exploit, aside from normal sporting, football sporting. Indoor is almost forgotten in our own ideology. Whereas when we were in school then, I was one of the best shot put throughout then, but now all these sports, everybody have forgotten, maybe is it existing. Road Park is almost abandoned. Our stadium in Fakojai, I'm pleading to the state government to come and complete it and commission it. It has been there for over 8-10 years now. So thank you very much.
Well, I want to say thank you for your contributions, and I share your assertion on this bill. And the bill is not limited to developing our youths alone. Looking at our society today, particularly in the area of security, is an opportunity to engage our youths and take them away from the street. You know, when you give them something to do, I'm sure it will reduce the restiveness that we've witnessed and we are still seeing around us. So there's fear everywhere on the road at night in the day, fear, you know, with the lack of employment that we have around us. You see young ones, you know, gathering together in every junction, extorting money by force, and all sorts of things. And I look at it that with this bill, we can engage a lot of them we can engage, and particularly by opening up the sporting activities without limiting it to football, table boxing and others. Everything must be taken up, everything, even our local kind of game, while you lockdown, drought and everything. I think we should utilize all these opportunities to engage our youth, but we have to call on the executive, particularly Mr. Governor, to do everything possible to make sure this bill, when it becomes law, is well implemented. And each one of us has duty. It's not about, you know, making contribution on the floor. And we must put everything into this bill to ensure that it comes to life. I mean, the implementation comes to life. We can develop those days. Somebody mentioned about Road Park. You can imagine how we travel from Agege to mainland just to go to Road Park. Then it seems, if I'm right, maybe the only one that we have in the whole of the state. Then Road Park, then, you know, where you have some people, you have other things there. Now we don't have anything. Even the Road Park, I don't know if it's still existing. I don't know. Now there's no new one. So we must develop what you talk about the US, you talk about UK. Sport has become a major industry, Even the manner of dressing is all about sport outfit. Everything is all about, even drinks, nutritionists, so many nutritionists companies are making money just because of sports. So all this we can capitalize on it, and I've said it in the past that Lagos should start acting as a state, as a nation on its own, irrespective of our attachment to the center. We should start acting in everything. So we organize our whole sport to address the issue of security, to engage our youth and to promote them. We talk about Joshua today. Now Joshua, when they introduce Nigerian British, that's what they call it, and particularly they want to introduce it's British. If we have put in place unnecessary facility for them to develop, it will be in Nigeria. Now, I'm in Nigeria. Now, Nothing. So it's an opportunity for us to start and make sure we change the narrative here in Lagos, particularly about our youth. So where you engage, and I don't have, they say, a workshop for the devil. Yeah? So if you engage them, the issue of exercise might not, probably got into that level. If you're a boxer, you have to go to gym in the morning, go to gym in the evening, go to gym the following day. So you'll be engaged. If you're a footballer, you have to go for training. If you're a swimmer, you have to go. If you're a table tennis player and all this. So by so doing, you have distracted them from getting involved in crime and others. And even usually license. If you're licensed, there are, at the back of your mind that if you do something wrong, your license will be taken away from you, and that is the end of it. So that will change a lot of things. So it is a good bill. I'm also passionate about this, and I want to urge all of us that we must give every support we can. We must do everything to see that this thing, comes to life in everywhere, not limited to those who have land. Well, we can join hands. Though if we want to give the lands to the commission, let us agree, do the paperwork, do everything with your people back home, and then we can make sure on our own that in the coming year budget, we make sure we put on, we have done that in this year budget. At least we have made provision for capital projects for the commission, and also an overhead that can accommodate, putting enough money in each spot so that it be attractive to these young ones. Like Olu observe, BB Nigeria, what do you call it? Big brother Nigeria. So look at the money. So let's put 10 million naira in boxing and see, how crazy the response will be. And let's do the same thing to table tennis, the sprint and everything. These youths will be very, so much interested in getting something. So if you put the money is there. We have done that on our part in every saying that this will come up, and for the capital development, we have also put money. So at least some structures can start growing where we have the lands and where we have the stadium already. Let them put, like rightly suggested, that indoor facility in that stadium, not about football and the sprint alone. Let them start creating pool, gym, so I think it's a good bill, and I'm sure with this, at least the music, when it comes to issue of youths in Lagos State, we definitely bring a new sound, and the dancing step will actually change. So with this bill is hereby committed to us committee on sports to report back on Monday. Yeah, Majority Leader. Well, going back to the nominees that appeared before the House, the decision on it will be stepped down to the next sitting. Yeah, Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, distinguished colleagues, having come to the end of this session today, I have the approval of the Right Honorable Speaker to move that this House adjourn till Monday, 8th day of February at 12 noon. I so move.
Honorable Tijani.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I rise to second the motion as moved.
All in favor, say aye. Those against, nay. The ayes have it. There will be a brief meeting immediately after sitting. This House stands adjourned till Monday, 8 February 2021 at 12 noon prompt. I rise.